Welcome to the Real Freedom Show, where we inspire you to pursue your passion to gain time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate. I'm your host, Mike Swenson. Let's get some real freedom together. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Real Freedom, where we are talking about building time and financial freedom through different opportunities in real estate. And so in the past, we've talked a little bit with people that have had franchises, done franchises. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And then also to hear our guest, Karim Kerachni's story. And he's going to talk about his past journey, sales, his own businesses as an entrepreneur. And then the cool thing about you as well, that I know a lot of our audience would love to hear, is you're a world traveler. And so your background, I know, born in Canada, grew up in France, parents are Algerian, and now currently you're in Malaysia for a year. And so you've been all over the place. And so to be able to build businesses and be location independent is an amazing thing. So we're just excited to hear your story. So welcome to the show.
And I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here. And I know it's going to be a great conversation because even off record, we already started to have a really good conversation. So
yes.
Nice.
Why don't you just go ahead and start, kind of share a little bit about your background. And I know our listeners are excited to hear kind of how that location freedom happens while still being able to run and grow businesses at the same time.
So as you mentioned, even my growing up, I grew up on multiple continents and not just in multiple countries. And so I guess that's something, that's stuck with me. And so as I started my professional journey, I started in Canada, actually a little bit in France, then in Canada, in sales mostly, started to grow that scale. That led me pretty naturally to entrepreneurship. In Halifax, Nova Scotia, for those who are familiar, that's where I started my first business, and it's still growing to this day. That was 5 years ago. It's a cleaning company named Steamates. We actually have multiple locations. We're opening another location in Toronto soon. So it's a business that is growing in the cleaning industry. And so using this background in sales, then management, then entrepreneurship, I figured. I realized about myself. That I was a lot more an entrepreneur than a business owner, meaning once the business is running and pretty smooth, yes, there are ways to grow it, but what excited me the most was the challenge of starting a new venture from scratch, finding an opportunity, a market for it, and even the initial and ongoing sales aspect. Whether it is marketing, whether it is networking, direct sales, and so on. That's really what I found fun. So when the newest opportunity came, a new opportunity, came on the table. That was in late 2020, early 2021. I decided to jump into it, and there were multiple layers of challenges that I enjoyed from bringing a model, which I'm going to explain in a minute, but a new model in a new market, but also finding some investors and fundraise some capital to get started. And so that venture is propertyguys.com. It's a business that has been growing in Canada for over 25 years, very successfully from coast to coast. And it basically offers an alternative solution to the traditional real estate model, which is a model that hasn't changed in over 100 years and doesn't make as much sense, nowadays for a lot of people. The fact that you have to spend a lot of money in commission, as well as a lawyer, photographer, a stager, appraiser, all the services that you need to sell your own property. As you probably know, Mike, a lot of people want to either sell on their own or find a way where they don't have to spend 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 grand in the process. And so that's what Property Guys came to offer. It's basically a one-stop shop for everything real estate, where you get all the service you need included in a package for a one-time flat fee, typically in the range of 4, 5, 6 grand instead of 40, 50, 60, and nothing else to be able to sell your property. So when I discovered the Property Guys model and their brand and their raving fans and so on, I was sold right away. I wanted to get involved. And so how I'm involved with that is to bring this model to Massachusetts, so a new market in the US. We've been expanding in some states in the US, Texas, Florida, but Massachusetts is right now leading the way, as well as Connecticut, actually. And so my job really is to attract and select the best fit for each franchise territories that we have available, and then to offer some ongoing support for them to be successful. I've been doing that now for about a year, and we have the first few franchisees who are going to get started very, very soon in the next few weeks. So that's super exciting that it's taking off, and it's taking off faster and faster now as we go.
Well, it was interesting that you mentioned about being an entrepreneur over a business owner, because we had talked a little bit offline how I have a background. We launched a franchise inside of real estate. And so I've been exposed to a lot of these franchise conferences. And so learning about people that are franchisees, learning about people that are on your end in franchise sales, they like the ability to go build, conquer something, and then probably move on to something else too. And so that's kind of a cool thing, is recognizing you do own a business, but there's a difference between climbing up that mountain, going through that hard stuff, launching something new, and then you can go and do that again versus, okay, now I've got systems in place and I'm just operating a business. And so it is a distinct difference. And some people can handle both, but some just really like that climb a mountain feel. And then I go move on and I go climb a different mountain in the same industry or the same type of thing or in a completely different industry.
Yeah, me too. I'm the exact same way. But as you said very rightly so, in franchise, it's the other type of people that we're looking for. Those who don't necessarily want to climb that mountain, figure things out, potentially fail, because most businesses, most startups fail in the first 2-3 years. When you acquire a franchise, yes, there is an initial cost, which is relatively speaking really not that high with property guys. But most franchise you have to buy in. But what you buy in, as you said, is the brand, is the brand recognition, client database, and some systems and processes that you don't have to figure out. So the risk of failing is dropped drastically, and so you start with this, with multiple miles ahead of someone who's starting their own brand and their own business, and it allows you also to grow a lot faster and to take over, larger piece of the market, maybe expand to more territories. Most of our franchisees actually get a second and a third territory because, there is a limited number of them. And so they want to take over a bigger piece of the pie as they get successful a lot faster. Most franchisees actually are profitable within 6 to 12 months, which is crazy. It's unheard of compared to the traditional business industry, and so therefore they can grow their business and expand very, very quickly. And often, to link with traveling or having other ventures or other things in hand, they often also are able to turn it into somewhat of a passive income. Where they don't have to be working in the business, but they can work on it remotely or physically. And I know a lot of franchisees who, after acquiring their first, second, and third territory, they end up doing some real estate investing or even moving on to other things while their business is running. That's an option that is definitely available compared to getting a McDonald's. I don't think as a McDonald's owner it is easy to get off the day-to-day.
I think it's really important for people to understand, thinking, why would I want to invest in a franchise? Well, yeah, you're really increasing your likelihood to have success in an industry because you're borrowing on, in your case, 25 years of experience running a successful business. And it might be, hey, I've got this idea, I wanted to do something like this, or it's really just plug and play, like my goals, my time that I have available, the money that I have available just happens to be a fit for an opportunity like this or a different opportunity. So, it happens to be in real estate. Great. So some people absolutely don't have to have real estate experience to be in a real estate franchise. Some people may like that connection, but you really don't have to. And I know in the franchise world, for somebody like you're looking to find somebody that's a great fit, a great match, that's really going to be excited about this opportunity, enhance it. Because if it's not a fit, then it's just like a job, right? If you're in a job that isn't a fit with your skills and abilities and passions, you're not going to enjoy doing it. And so you're trying to find that person that enjoys those same things and it fits their interests, their time available, obviously their money and their financial goals and what they want to do.
100%. And to add to that, even aspiring, real estate professionals. So we mentioned, obviously, real estate agents, mortgage brokers, real estate investors, all kind of real estate professionals are excellent fits for this model. It adds an extra hat, an extra source of income, or an extra source of leads and clients, which they can cross. If you're a mortgage broker, I'm taking that example specifically because the newest franchisee that we're getting, he has been a very successful mortgage broker for 20 or 25 years, and so he's adding actually 2 franchises right off the bat to his portfolio in order to cross those clients from one side to the other and really maximize profit. And it's definitely something that I actually specifically try to approach and target those real estate professionals that can have this double hat. But someone with no real estate experience who has always, loved the real estate industry and wanted to get into it, don't necessarily want to get their license. It's a very crowded industry. In Massachusetts, we have 27,000 plus agents that are all, pretty much offering the same value proposition. Whether you use, Mike or Mary, you can sell or buy your house the same way and for pretty much the same commission. So being able to get into the real estate industry without having to get your real estate license and offering something different where you stand out from the crowd and where you get a whole bunch of organic leads and clients because you're the only one in your territory. In addition to the fact that you actually own your own business, you're not just quote unquote a contractor going from one commission to another. So all those points are high value in the eyes of aspiring entrepreneurs or even just real estate agents who want to do things differently.
Yeah, I look at it as adding another tool in your tool belt. If you're already in the industry, there's something that you're doing. And so being a franchisee or an opportunity like this, it's another tool. Maybe your client base has some overlap there where you can maximize value for the client base you've currently built in whatever industry you're in. And I think people in real estate would also understand having multiple streams of income is really important. And some are going to be more time driven where they soak up a lot of your time and some aren't, or it might be for a season. Hey, I'm going to pour in a bunch of time now for 6 or 12 months, and then I can kind of pull back the reins and have things up and running or hire somebody to take over for something. So there's a lot of flexibility in having franchises.
Yeah, 100%. And so what happened with your franchise? I don't know if we touched on that.
So essentially, some of the folks in the group wanted to change to a different brokerage and some didn't. And so we kind of just agreed to dissolve what we had in that model. And so we operated just like a regular residential real estate team did. We had like an admin hub that did all the marketing, admin, transaction, back-end stuff for teams in different locations. So I always made the joke of we were talking with somebody on our board of advisors of here's what we're looking to do. We're looking to grow our real estate team into other locations. And this guy who's outside of real estate said, oh, I think you should talk to a franchise attorney about that. That sounds like you're operating like what a franchise would be. And then my joke is always, well, if you go hire a franchise attorney and tell them about your model, they're going to tell you, oh yeah, this should be a franchise. I'll pay a bunch of money and you could tell me that it's a franchise. So, so that's how we ended up going about that model. Our decision was about the money flow and wanting to make sure we were compliant in the states because we were in multiple states. So wanting to make sure we handled that well. So that was kind of the big tipping point for us because there's a lot of people that did what we did. Everybody except us wasn't franchised, but we felt like to grow and to be in compliance in those states, that was a good model to have.
Absolutely.
But yeah, essentially we just dissolved the admin staff, kind of went and each supported the different teams on their own. And
that's good. And you left with very amazing experience. And that might even be something that you would use in a later business. But you touched on something important, which I don't think we mentioned. That's another huge value in a franchise model, and including property guys. It's not only that you're buying the brand and the systems and so on, but also all the ongoing service provided by the franchisor to the franchisee, whether it is marketing. In our case, it's marketing, it's lead generation. We have a call center in-house that does inbound, outbound calls, the website with the SEO, the CRM. So all those things that really alleviate a lot of the hard work and a lot of the hustle, that you have as a business owner. Because you and I know, as a business owner, you're trying to do everything, and you're trying, to get all those, marketing agents and graphic designer and web designer and so on. When all of that is removed and your focus is 100% on business development, on growing the brand in your territory, you can see how this teamwork really lift the franchise and the franchises around and the whole model. And that's something that I personally really bought in, this idea of teamwork instead of everyone being in competition. I think it's just a game changer, for the industry.
Well, even as an example, I consult with real estate teams on the side in terms of admin, business, and operations still. And so there's somebody out there that I'm talking to that is a solo admin person. And they're like, well, I'm trying to do all these things. Like, we really need a marketing person. And so you don't necessarily have the funds to hire a marketing person full time. So you have to figure, do I hire a service? Do I do something, a contract role? And so you've got all these fractional personalized needs out there. When you hire a franchise, now because they're serving so many different locations, you get a specialist in each of those areas. And so instead of a team of generalists, you have a team of specialists where all I do is this type of marketing, or all I do is this type of stuff, or accounting or bookkeeping and all that. And now as the business owner, you don't have to worry, when do I hire the next full-time employee for these operational or admin services? Because it's all there, it's already included. And so that's how, like you said, you can focus on the most important things to grow your business, because you know that back-end support is there to help.
Absolutely. And actually with this economy of scale, where you have a handful of vetted expert professionals that are specialized in your model. So not only it is great for the franchisor, it's amazing for the franchisee as well, because it reduces the cost drastically and makes the business very low overheads, because you don't, and I tell that to the potential franchisee all the time, they actually don't have to hire a team. They don't even need to get an office. they don't have to hire a team, and they can really get started whether they get started on their own, with their spouses, with their business partner, whatever it might be, they can get started right away. They start making money right away. That's why I mentioned that the ROI is pretty quick, within 6 to 12 months on average, because there is pretty much very little expenses to have, and payroll usually is the highest. The biggest expense.
You talk to people, what are the challenges in your business? It's usually finding people and putting in systems. And so that's what a franchise can help accomplish. So talk a little bit about being able to do this while traveling all over the place. I know people out there wish they were in your shoes. So how is this that you were able to work and build these companies and build your jobs that you've done in the past while still not living in the United States and Canada?
That's it's something I really do enjoy sharing, because I think a lot of people are currently in a position where they actually can do that, and it's just a matter of having the knowledge that they can do that, how to do that, and the leap of faith of actually doing it. And I'm talking coaches, consultants, anyone who's currently working remotely at home should take it on the road. So for me, it's been a process, because I had that in mind for a few years, even before starting my first business. To make it short, I was in sales on commission, and I was making really good money, and I was working about 4 or 5 months a year and traveling the rest of the year and spending all my money. And so I figured, hey, I need to find a way to to make it more sustainable long term, where I do have an income as I'm also living my life, whatever this might mean. And in my case, it is traveling in large part. And so when I started my first business, very quickly, from the first few months, I looked at automating those systems, creating systems and processes for the business, automating them, delegating those tasks and responsibilities, or eliminating them. That's a tough word. And just and you repeat that, and you have that well recorded. And your business becomes this operation manual that contains all your systems. And so as I started doing that from the start, that was a blessing, because as we were growing, and then as I was opening new branches across the country, it made things easy, because it almost doesn't matter who's running the business, whether the manager, the assistant manager, the cleaners, they each know exactly what they have to do, and they don't have to reinvent the wheel. They follow those systems that I've put in place. Which we can improve over time, but it allows the business to grow without you, so you're not your own limitation, your own bottleneck. And as you remove yourself from the process, it is not by laziness; it is to allow the business to actually strive and grow without having one decision maker in the middle, or one person doing any of those tasks. So as I've been doing that, and improving it, and learning about it and teaching about it. You probably heard of the book, The E-Myth, which is a book that I highly, highly recommend to any business owners, entrepreneurs. So that's in some words, that's what it's talking about. Anyways, as I was doing that, I realized that, okay, I am now working from home. I'm not needed in the business. And even if I am needed, I find another way, whenever I'm called for whatever reason. I was always trying to find a creative way to not have to show up. Again, not by laziness, but because I wanted to fully being removed. Once that was done, and I was working from home or from a coffee shop for a certain period of time, 6 months to a year, I realized, okay, it is time now. I can take it on the road. And similarly, I've been talking about my thinning business, but about property guys, it's the same way. Yes, I could have relocated to Boston, and I probably would have had a different kind of success, or maybe a faster success in Massachusetts if I did that. But I specifically chose not to do that, at least for the first few years of the business, and find ways to go around that. So yes, obviously I do have lots of Zoom calls. If you're allergic to Zoom and Meets and Teams, probably not for you. But in my case, yeah, it's a lot of virtual meetings, lots of emails, phone calls, and so on. And I'm perfectly fine with that because it allows me to have a much better work-life balance and put whatever I enjoy as a priority in my schedule, and then work as a second priority. The reason I'm doing this, if you heard of the book The Happiness Advantage, it talks about the fact that if you want to be successful, you first have to be happy and content, instead of the common knowledge of, hey, I'm going to try to be successful in order to be happy. So when I reach that threshold, when I reach that goal, I will be happy. But there is always a next goal and a next thing to reach. So when you flip the thing around and you're happy, in your mental state, in your life, then success actually does flow a lot more easily, and that's really my focus.
Well, and I think I've heard a lot about that with entrepreneurial personalities, because it's always there's something more. It's either bigger, the next thing, and so you have to be content where you're at, because you're never going to get to the arrival point, because there's that inner drive that wants you to do more, bigger, whatever that might be. So you have to learn how to be content where you're at, and then everything's going to flow out of it. How does that work with the time changes then? Because obviously you're midnight right now. We're having this conversation. I'm close to noon. So how do you handle the time differences and then being able to still experience life in the country that you're in at that time when you're doing this while everybody else is sleeping for the most part?
You read my mind, because as I was listening to you, I was thinking, oh, I should talk about the time difference, because yes, it is a big factor, and that's not the only one. But the time difference in my case right now, currently in Malaysia, it's 12 hours with Massachusetts. So 8 a.m. is 8 p.m., 10 a.m. is 10 p.m., which actually makes it somewhat easy because, I work in the evening from roughly 7 p.m. my time till midnight or 1 a.m. And maybe 1 or 2 hours in the morning, but I have my days free. I have my nights, pretty much free to sleep. And it does take some getting used to. But I'm very much into creating habits and routines in general. That's something I've been doing for years. And I think it is very important if you want to become a nomad entrepreneur or digital nomad, whatever it might be. You need to know how to organize your life in a pretty well organized manner. So in my case, I have a good routine. It took me a couple of weeks to acquire since I've been here, but I have my work time, I have my play time, I have, I wake up roughly exactly at the same time every day. I go to bed roughly at the same time every day. And that actually makes things quite easy and enjoyable, mentally and physically and so on. But there are also some other considerations. Obviously, whenever you're going to a new country, I do recommend to first start traveling within your country. If you're in the US, it's pretty easy. There is a lot to do and to visit. But as you go, you have to figure out how long you're going to stay, if you should get a visa, all those considerations about visa, tourist visa, and so on. And another thing that I do recommend is to, as I mentioned earlier, try to automate or delegate some of the items that you have in hand, in order to make things easy for yourself and in order for your business to grow. And so getting a virtual assistant, or getting some of your tasks and duties delegated to a virtual worker, whether it is marketing, whether it is web design, or just an assistant or a salesperson. Actually, everything I mentioned, I actually have virtual freelancers for each of those tasks as we speak. That actually alleviates a lot of the work that might be a little painful or boring or whatnot within your business, and it allows you to focus on what really matters for your business, for you to be involved in. What is the added value you're bringing to your business, you yourself? And often when you take a good look at your business and the things that you're doing, you actually realize a lot of things can be delegated, and where you're needed are very narrow tasks. And usually those are the tasks and responsibilities that brings the most value, the highest ROI for your business. So I highly recommend you take a step back to your business. Often you might need some help a coach or someone around you to assess every part of your day and your job. What can be delegated, what can be automated. With AI nowadays, a lot of things can actually be automated, and narrow down to where are you actually needed in your business.
That's awesome. It's good to hear. And I think for some people, yeah, they start with, well, I could never do that. And, you just kind of laid out, well, here's how that's possible. And so maybe start with, how can I do it, instead of giving all the reasons why I can't do that.
Have you ever heard the phrase, you're the average of the top 5 people that you hang around? Well, real estate agents, I'm excited to increase your 5 with you. We're launching the Real Freedom Investor Agent Tribe to help you get educated and connect with others to build your real estate investing journey, and also to help you along the way as you're working with real estate investors. So come check it out on our website, realfreedom.com. Go to the store. We have a membership, we have a mastermind group, and private coaching to help you stay accountable to your real estate investing goals, and to make sure that you connect with like-minded people to accelerate your progress and to cheer you on along the way. Check it out, realfreedom.com. Click on the store.
We talked a lot about franchise opportunities, running businesses, building businesses, working remotely. For people that want to know about that, learn more about Property Guys, how can they do that?
Sure. So to reach out to me personally, Karim Kerachni on LinkedIn, it's usually the easiest way. I'm the only one, so if you have my name around the title, wherever, copy paste it on LinkedIn, you'll find me. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily about Property Guys. If you want to continue, good conversations like this about entrepreneurship, about taking your business on the road, I'm always happy to share any kind of knowledge and value. And for anyone wanting to learn more about Property Guys, I advise you Google Property Guys Massachusetts. That's how you can find my website. Or propertyguysfranchise.com is the main website about Property Guys franchise. And obviously propertyguys.com is the main website and the main brand. So each of those websites will give you a lot of information.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. It was great to hear your story, and best of luck as you continue to grow out the territory there.